So yesterday, the Republicans delayed a vote on the Senate's healthcare bill until after the July 4th recess. Now, of course, they originally wanted to get something passed this week, as early as Thursday, right? So that's a big setback, okay? And what would be, I guess, considered a major accomplishment among the Republicans, which, look, I don't think it'd be an accomplishment at all. It's got a 17% approval rating, and people hate this bill. Okay, but nonetheless, the Republicans would see this as an accomplishment because it's an enormous tax cut for their donors, and that's exactly what they crafted it for. It repeals all the Obamacare taxes, gets rid of them just about completely. So for them, it's like, yeah, it's a win. It helps our donors, and then our donors give us giant campaign bribes. Win, win, win. Healthcare? You need healthcare? No, we don't care about that. Anyway. Now, more details have come out, obviously, about the bill, but also about the crafting of this bill, which was done, for the most part, in back rooms, behind closed doors. Now, the new details are mainly about Donald Trump's role in it, or his lack of a role. Again, he's the president. You would think that he would be, since he is the president, he would sign this into law, and, he'd be held accountable for it, whether fairly or unfairly. So you would think he would have a bigger role in crafting this, but I guess not. Now, the New York Times actually recently had a great piece outlining the role of President Trump during these negotiations with the recent Senate healthcare bill. Now, President Trump had begun his all-hands meeting with Republican senators at the White House on Tuesday by saying that they were, quote, very close to passing a healthcare bill, just as efforts to fast-track a vote this weekend had collapsed. Until Tuesday afternoon, the president was largely on the sidelines, as the fate of one of the most important campaign pledges had played out. Okay, so again, on Tuesday, he had this meeting. He's like, all right, we're very close, man. We're going to get this healthcare passed. I don't know what's in it, but we're going to get it passed. And then we're going to have a win. Because, again, that's what Donald Trump's about. He's all about, did I get a win? What about my approval rating? What about my polls? Well, do people love me? Do you guys love me? Do the donors love me? All I want is for people to like me. And all I want to do is to win. I just want to win. I want to win. Okay, well, so he's not going to get involved all that much in this healthcare negotiations. Now, again, Donald Trump is known as being a closer. Well, we know that he can't close anything. He can't even close a door. Okay, but nonetheless, that's his reputation. I think that's what a lot of people voted for him to do, to get deals done, to be the closer. Well, on this deal, he was not a closer. He was outside the door. Okay, not even close to the door. McConnell, who kept the president at a polite arm's length while he oversaw negotiations for the bill, asked Mr. Trump to arrange the meeting with all 52 Republican senators during a morning phone call, in part to show senators the White House was, in fact, fully engaged. That's not the word that I would use. Okay. Now, this is according to two people with knowledge of the call. When asked by reporters clustered on the blacktop outside of the West Wing if Mr. Trump had command of the details of the negotiations, Mr. McConnell ignored the question and smiled blandly. I'm just going to ignore or not even acknowledge that you asked that question and smile blandly. Basically, he means, no, Donald Trump was, he doesn't know the details of the negotiation. He has no command, and we made sure to keep him out of it. Hey, Trump, go over there. Go over there, man. We don't need you. We got this thing. As you're going to see, this is a theme in the story. Okay? So, of course, he's not involved, which is actually a big change from what we saw last time around, back in May. Now, the Times explains that during the negotiation in May, Mr. Trump and his staff played a critical role in persuading House Republicans to pass health care legislation back in that month, with the president personally calling dozens of wavering House members, hey, man, you better vote for this or you're done. You better vote for this. I'm President Trump. I'm doing presidency stuff. I'm telling you to vote for this bill that I have no idea what's in it. Okay. Hey, that's what happened, right? Now, how did that work out? It didn't work out very well. The Trump's team heavy-handed tactics have been ineffective in the Senate. Well, now there's a reason for that. Now, and of course we'll get to that, right? So, if the president, his involvement isn't necessary, isn't working, so, well, who's going to get involved from the White House then? Are they going to go to Reince Priebus? No, of course not. Reince Priebus is a wet noodle. Okay, he's about as effective as a limp dick. Okay, what about Bannon? No, look, establishment Republicans hate Steve Bannon. All right, they can't stand the guy. So, if it's not Trump, Priebus, or Bannon, who are they going to talk to? Mike Pence. Of course it's Mike Pence! All right. So, White House officials determined that deploying Vice President Mike Pence, a former congressman with deep ties to many in the Senate, was a better bet than unleashing Mr. Trump on the half-dozen Republicans who would determine the fate of the Senate bill to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. So they go to Pence. Now, Pence, he's your establishment guy. He's very right-wing, far right, socially conservative, but he's got ties to the guys in the Senate. And so he is part of the establishment more than Mr. Trump. And more importantly, Pence actually knows what the fuck he's doing. He's not an idiot. He knows the details. He knows exactly what this bill is trying to do. And this bill is a giant tax cut for the rich. And of course, it's also a way to destroy Medicaid, which has been a goal for House Republicans, Senate Republicans, the Republican Party for decades. So, of course, they go to Mike Pence. Now, again, they go to him, right, and they get him involved in the discussion. Well, where's Mr. Trump? Well, Mr. Trump, they said, who was fond of telling friends he's a closer, had become more involved over the past few days, reaching out to a few reluctant conservatives like Senators Mike Lee of Utah, Ted Cruz of Texas, and Rand Paul of Kentucky, who emerged from an Oval Office meeting on Monday saying he was more optimistic about getting a yes. And of course, as we know, they did not get a yes. They got a big fat no. Now, the White House, McConnell said, has been very involved in these discussions, meaning mostly Pence. He says, quote, they're very anxious to help. I'm sure they are. But do they want that help? Do the Republicans want that help? Of course they do. As I mentioned, Mike Pence. They just don't want it from Trump. The Senate Republican leadership has made it known that it would much rather negotiate with Mr. Pence than a president whose candidacy many did not even take seriously during the 2016 primaries. And some of the White House's efforts have been clearly counterproductive. So remember, back in May, Donald Trump was using some heavy-handed tactics, right? Well, they told him, hey, don't get involved anymore. Trust me, we got this. Okay, well, for the most part, Trump stayed out of it personally, but that doesn't mean that his allies didn't also get involved. Again, he didn't get involved, but his allies started to get involved. And one of them was a Trump super PAC attacking Republicans that weren't supporting the bill. More specifically, Dean Heller. Now, McConnell and several other Republican senators expressed their irritation about the anti-Heller campaign during the White House meeting. According to two people, one of them a senator who was president. The move against Mr. Heller had the blessing of the White House, according to an official with America First. That was a super PAC that is a Trump ally that Donald Trump reached out to and said, go attack Dean Heller. He's not in favor of the bill. He's not going to vote for it. I want to win. So if I want to win, I got to have Dean Heller's support. So go attack him. Go attack him. Go hit him. Hit him over the head for me. Well, they did that. And now McConnell and other senators are like, don't do that. Don't hit Republicans are not supposed to attack Republicans. That was the old Reagan rule, right? Where, hey, Republicans are not supposed to fight each other. They're only supposed to fight Democrats. Well, that hasn't worked out very well, especially as of late. So they're breaking all sorts of rules. Donald Trump breaking all sorts of rules, or at least unofficial rules, right? Now, Trump allies were furious that the senator would side with Nevada's governor, Brian Sandoval, a Republican who accepted the Medicaid expansion under the health care law and opposes the Republican overhaul in criticizing the bill. Now, according to the senator, the president laughed good-naturedly at the complaint and signaled that he had received the message. A few hours later, America First announced it was pausing its advertising assault against Mr. Heller, insisting it was doing so because of his willingness to come to the White House meeting with Mr. Trump. So, first off, idiot Trump. He's like, they're not supporting the bill? I'm not winning? Okay, go attack. Go attack. I'll send my goons. Well, then he learned, maybe that's not a good idea. Because somebody told him, don't do that. You know why? Because if you attack Dean Heller over healthcare, then he's going to get voted out. And he's one of those endangered Republicans, right? Where he could face a very tough re-election battle. So they're like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't attack him. Don't attack him, Trump. You know why? Because you're not going to win. You're not going to win on this healthcare issue if you don't have the support of Republicans. Don't worry, Dean Heller, we're going to get this guy on board. So just be patient and pull back your goons. So that's exactly what he did. Now, of course, Pence also stepped in to help the situation and to get more Republican support. So instead of sending the goons, they send out a goon, but in this case, it's the vice president goon. The post continues, right? Mr. Pence has been far more active in seeking out Republican senators. Seema Verma, Mr. Pence's former advisor in the Indiana State House and now a top administration healthcare official, has also been trying to reassure senators that their states will have flexibility on Medicaid under the bill. It's one of the things they want. While Mr. Pence's former chief of staff, Mark Short, now the White House Legislative Affairs Director, has been quarterbacking the effort from his hideaway in the Capitol. And until Tuesday's meeting in the White House, Mr. Trump had spoken with only a few members of the Senate, according to an administration official. The pace was nothing like the dozens of calls he made to help pass the House health care bill, according to aides. Because him getting involved didn't work. Him not getting involved obviously didn't seem to work either. Look, I have a radical idea. Maybe it's because the bill's terrible. And would be super unpopular. Now, Donald Trump would probably know that this bill is terrible if he had happened to read it and if he had happened to know what's actually in it. Now, how do I know that? How do I know he didn't read it? How do I know that he doesn't know what's in it? It's fairly obvious that he doesn't read anything. But okay, look, it's not just my opinion on this. It's actually the opinion of people who are working with Trump, who were in the meeting on Tuesday with Trump. In fact, a senator who supports the bill. This is a guy who's like, yeah, $800 billion in Medicaid cuts? Absolutely. 22 million people kicked off health insurance? I love the idea. Let's get it passed. Well, even this guy was sitting in the meeting with Trump, and he said that he left the meeting at the White House with a sense that the president did not have a grasp on some basic elements of the Senate plan, and seemed especially confused when a moderate Republican complained that opponents of the bill would cast it, accurately, as a massive tax break for the wealthy. This is according to an aide who received a detailed readout of the exchange. He was confused. What do you mean? What do you mean they're going to say that it's a giant tax cut for the rich? Oh, no, I want to handle tax reform later. That's not what we're talking about. But wait a minute. And again, that's according to a staffer. But wait a minute. That's what this bill is. It is a nearly $1 trillion tax cut on the rich. He would know that if he read this. He would know. But no, he doesn't know. Because he doesn't read. He doesn't know what's in it. He never knew what was in it. I never knew healthcare would be this complicated. Again, that involves reading, that involves studying, that involves looking over proposals and the impacts, right? Does Trump do that? No, he does not. He even fails to grasp the basics of the Republican plan. And no wonder no one wants him involved. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. That's the entire goal of this plan, is to lower taxes for the rich. Now, look, we could be wrong about Donald Trump. He might actually want people to have health care, but he's just too stupid to know that this health care bill doesn't have anything in it. and actually does the opposite. It kicks more people off healthcare. Okay. Now, or of course, it's entirely possible that he actually does understand and probably wouldn't be in favor, or probably still be in favor, because it's a giant tax cut for him. So maybe he's stupid and greedy. Probably. I'll go for the latter, right? But since he's incompetent and he doesn't understand these things and doesn't read, well, they end up going around him and deal directly with Mike Pence, who actually is the competent monster. So if you wondered who's really doing the legwork on passing this healthcare bill, remember all the Republicans that were like, Republican establishment sucks. I'm going to vote for Trump to stick it in the eye of the establishment. Well, guess who's writing this healthcare bill? The establishment. This is Mike Pence. This is Mitch McConnell. This is Paul Ryan. The Republican establishment. Here we go. Look, to be fair, I got to stop calling it Trump care, because Trump has nothing to do with it. He has no idea what's in it. This is a Republican healthcare plan. That means that if you get rid of Trump, as like a lot of Democrats are like, oh, impeach Trump, get rid of him, and then we'll get rid of all the bad Republicans. No, you idiots. You're not going to get rid of all the bad. You want to get rid of all the bad Republicans, you got a lot of them to go. It's way more than just Trump. Okay? This is what the Republican Party wants to do. In fact, there's a lot of senators that were against this plan because it wasn't conservative enough. It didn't cut enough from Medicaid. It didn't cut enough subsidies. It didn't cut taxes enough for the rich. This is what the Republican Party is about. So look, if you think Donald Trump is the problem with the Republican Party and he's just an anomaly, no, he's not. He is the Republican Party, and he reflects perfectly their warped, selfish ideology. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.